This is Dan Westergren from National Geographic Traveler magazine. I'm here on behalf of Canada Tourism and our Canada 50 Places of a Lifetime. We're here in the historic Distillery district east of downtown Toronto. The Goodman & Warts Distillery, right here you see in my video feed, by 1877 was the biggest distillery in the world. And there's this great magazine, National Geographic Traveler, that said this is a hip new neighborhood within the best preserved collection of Victorian industrial architecture in Canada. Wow, that's from National Geographic Traveler. But the reason we're here is I wanted to come to a very distinctive neighborhood so that I could show you how we try to work in a theme and take photographs, hopefully, that could only be taken here. And so we're going to just walk around this neighborhood. And we've got some folks here joining us. We got Alex from 500px. And do you guys want to, who else is on the call here?
It's Adrian here from the Canadian Tourism Commission, and we've got, guys, Rolf and Bryce. You guys want to tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, I'm a French photographer. I do mainly landscape and travel photography, and I'm from Paris. And I work with the CDC this summer.
And I'm Ralph. I'm a journalist and photographer and blogger from Cologne, Germany. And I'm working a lot with the Canadian Tourism Commission in Germany, and I'm happy to watch you guys in Toronto.
All right, well, let's...
And we've got Julia from 500px blogging community as well.
And I'm trailing Dan down here at the distillery and watching Dan in action.
All right. So we're going to start here with just like the most obvious thing we can. Here's a little sign above the street that says Goodman & Warts Limited. I'm walking around. I'm using two cameras today. I've got a Nikon D700 with a wide-angle lens, and then I'm also carrying around a little camera. It's what is this thing? Fuji X1 Pro. It has a single lens. I didn't bring a zoom or anything because sometimes by having a second camera that you can't change the lens on, it helps me to make better pictures because I don't have as many choices. So look at this. Here's what I'm noticing right now. See the sign of Goodman & Warts, and you see in the background we have two very distinctive visual elements. We've got this street light on the right-hand side. Now, as I move underneath the sign, look at that very distinctive architecture, the roof in the distance, and you see how it comes out? Now I'm going to make a picture. Wow. That, I think I want to move. Oh, see, look at that. I can't have both. I can have the street light or the roof. Maybe if I move just a little bit over here. No. Oh, well. I didn't like the street light anyway. Let's do it this way. There we go. Ah, you know what? On my camera, which has a 20mm lens, I can do the picture that I wanted to, and I can't. So the closer I get, the better it works out. All right, so that's the real obvious picture. This place here has a really nice square and a very distinctive sculpture. Now look at this, watch. This is the kind of thing I'm thinking about. It's so bright, the sun is kind of like, I can't see what's going on. So what I want to do is I want to hide the sun, and we're almost there. Okay. Yeah, boom. Now we've hidden the sun. But, oh, what happened? See, there's this really distinctive corkscrew, but it's got that hideous sign in the background. So it's a billboard across the street. So I'm going to try and get in a position where I can separate those two, and we'll make a very graphic picture here. What we've got is, now I'm shooting with aperture preferred automatic, and the sun is so bright that it's telling me I need to choose a smaller aperture. But with automatic aperture, it just is working fine. It's making a nice picture of this corkscrew shape. And I'm going to come over a little bit more to separate out there. That's a real graphic photo. And if I had one of those new Sony things on my iPad, I could give you a wider angle of view, but I'm quite happy with that. So now we can move on to the next thing, is that we're outside a coffee shop called Balzac. And at Balzac's, they have decorated their coffee shop to reflect the era of this neighborhood. And so the first thing we see at Balzac's is this front door, which has some really amazing peeling paint. And so we're going to go up here. I'm going to pull the Fuji camera down now. I'm going to just take a picture of peeling paint. This camera has a macro mode. I'll just switch it into macro. Here we are. Take a picture of paint. How's that? Now that didn't work because you see I have dialed in exposure compensation and I forgot to reset it. And so the people coming out of the shop, they're wondering what on earth I'm doing. But it worked okay. It's not, oh, there we go. Look at that truck. That's exactly the kind of thing I'm looking for. And
That's the.
Yeah, anybody know trucks? What kind of truck is that?
That's the historic dump truck, the Distillery Gallery, one of the icons of the attraction there, which is you know, back to the last century.
And so now what I'm doing is, you see, watch the light change as I go around the truck. Here we've got it half in the sun and half in the shade. And then as I come around the side, oh, is the video coming out? Now this is pretty nice with the sun fully shining on it. You know, it's a nice truck. It shows the neighborhood. It's good. Now for a magazine, probably what we would do is step back a little bit. You photograph, you get the truck lined up, and then maybe you wait for somebody to go by to get a picture that depicts a nice view of the neighborhood. I'm going to go in here. This truck, I love the paint so much that I'm going to actually go in and take a picture of just the paint. And so I've got this camera that's set for macro, and I'm going to come in, and there's this wonderful, how's this for like a double thing? And I'm taking some pictures. There we go. I'm going to turn the camera off my macro, sorry.
And Dan, the light's pretty good today, isn't it?
It's really great. There's something about the texture, the rust on this thing. It's just, I mean, it's kind of easy pickings, but it's really quite nice. So, one last, how about we just do a picture for like, to be used for the computer background on our, oh, can't do that. My shadow is just, okay, so that's the deal with the truck. Now, I'm going to hand this camera off, and we're going to walk down the street a little bit. The other thing that we try to do in a neighborhood is you want to find somebody from that neighborhood who is typical of what the kind of things you would do there. So I want to find, there's a lot of shops here. There's a lot of, well, you know, quite crazy places. And so I noticed this earlier today when we were down here. Check this out. Okay, so here's a shop, and outside this shop we've got, yeah, so this is like the Ottoman shop, and there's this like bulldog, the craziest animal Ottomans you could imagine.
And you then, take on Ottoman Empire, I guess.
Yeah, and anyway, we're going to go in here, and there's some friend I made earlier. Hey, Brittany, so this is Brittany.
Hello.
Brittany sells these Ottomans. They're just fantastic. So I told you that what you really want to do is, in order to bring back in photographs a flavor of a neighborhood, it's great to have somebody who works in that neighborhood and ask them to pose for a portrait. And so you don't mind. I mean, yeah, let's have you stand. Now what we're doing is, she's standing in the open light. There's a lot of really bright sunlight. You see, like we can't use that. And so I want her standing inside the doorway just enough so then we can make a picture of her. And I'm going to go ahead now. And so now you see the way that the light is really soft, wraps around her very softly, but it drops off real quickly. And most automatic exposure modes are going to favor the background. You can see in this video that she's a little bit too bright. So I'm dialing in minus 0.7 exposure compensation so we can try to make this picture work out. Let me reach back and grab this other camera. And
but Dan, it's an Ottoman. She's got to be sitting on it, no?
She's got, well, we can get, okay, have a seat. Yeah, the cyberspace says you have to sit on the ottoman. All right, there we go. So once again, I'm shooting a picture. This time I'm doing it with a 50mm lens. It's kind of nice, but look at the way. Let's have a look at what we're doing here. No, we don't want macro. So this is the picture I just managed to get. Hold on. There we go. But you see, the camera has seen the bright background and opened the shutter up just a little bit too much. So what we've got to do, we're going to go to this exposure compensation and dial it to -1, which is probably a little bit too much. But quite honestly, I'm trying to do 2 cameras in 2 hands, and I just don't want to drop something. So here we go. Oh, now she's posing for me. That's exactly what I want. Okay, so these are the pictures I'm shooting right now with a 50mm lens, and it's a portrait, and it really only shows her and the ottoman, and it's quite nice. So I'm setting down the 50mm lens and going to a wide-angle lens on my other camera, which is more like what you're going to see through the video camera. And so we're shooting a few shots here that shows the entire store. But now notice over on the left-hand side, that bright part of the sunlight, I need to be sure to frame my photograph to not include that, because it's, quite honestly, it's not helping very much to make a good picture. And so I'm going to come over to this side. And oh, wow, I didn't think about that. Now look at the rack of ottomans behind her. It adds a whole nother level to the picture. And so that's where we are. All right, thank you so much, Brittany. We're going to head down the street and look for something else. All right, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to switch this camera around so that I don't make you guys motion sick. And so now we're going to head down the street. And there's a place where there's an intersection that I noticed has a lot of light coming and going. And I think we might be able to get a nice picture of the cobblestone streets and the bricks. Okay. And so we're going to go down a street that's called Tank House Lane.
So for the guys in Germany, I don't know if this reminds you of a European setting or, you know, Bryce in France. That was the intent of the distillery, was to be have a European flavor into Toronto and North America. So hopefully it resonates and makes you think of having a cold beer.
Yeah, it reminds me of the north of France, the industrial part of France. But as I know Quebec as well, it looks a lot like Quebec too. So it's hard to distinguish French and Quebec on that side. But it's pretty cool.
For North American standards, it definitely looks old.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so now what we're doing, what I've done is I've walked into this alley, and you see how the light is completely different here. There's actually not much light in this alley at all. But what I kind of like is when we turn around, and we can see that once the camera exposure normalizes for the brick, and you have some pedestrians, if we get lucky, somebody will walk into that beam of light. And nobody's cooperating right now. So, oh, here's my friend Rod Charles here. He's helping me out. And he's going to go walk through there and show you how you could make a picture of the pedestrians. And if we shoot a wider angle shot, there we go. It's really quite nice. What I want, see how he blends into the background? But when he turns around and walks, now watch, there'll be one spot right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, that's it. Boom, we got his shot, we got his silhouette, it's perfect. So, all right, we're going to go down the street again and try to find another place. There's a wonderful brew pub where we can, I'm going to walk a little bit faster. Oh, wait, I forgot about something. There's this really cool tea shop that has a really charming facade. So I'm going to go, well, here, I'll show it to you, why not?